Hey, what is up, nerds, geeks, and collectors alike? Today we are taking a look at the Transformers Studio Series Gamer Edition War for Cybertron Voyager class Megatron. And as someone who played the games back in 2010, I am very happy to have this figure because this is my favorite design of Megatron in the Gamerverse continuity. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off from top to bottom, as you can see, the sculpt on this figure is amazing. There are a lot of sculpted details and the paint is very crisp with the black, the red, and that beautiful purple. I do wish that the purple is distributed throughout the figure, but it is only present here at the head sculpt and the torso as well as the legs. Apart from that, in terms of the overall mold here, as you can see, it is very streamlined and very clean. I just couldn't help notice that Hasbro has a trope with Megatron where they tend to stuff most of his transformation on the legs, but I'm not complaining because in return we are getting a visually stunning robot mode translated into action figure form based on his appearance in the game. Of course, Megatron comes with his iconic fusion cannon. It is made of this gray plastic with glossy black painted over it, and unfortunately this type of black dulls the sculpt. You can barely see any sculpting, but there is sculpt there. And for you to put it on his arm just like that, it's a 5mm port, and you can also do this. But let's be honest, no one's gonna pose Megatron into this. Here is Bumblebee's alternate weapon, and it does fit Megatron perfectly, and the other War for Cybertron figures. And here we have Megatron's mace. It is sculpted beautifully, and honestly I thought Hasbro cheaped out on us with the purple paint, but apparently this is how it looked like in the game, so I can't complain about that. However, you can take this apart like the axe of Prime, but you can't fit it into Megatron's hand because it's too thick. So for the life of me, I don't know what to do with this except just plug it like this or store it on his back like this, which is pretty good weapon storage. Next up, moving on to articulation, Megatron's head is on a ball joint. He can do a 360, but the way his head is designed, it hinders the joint from going all the way. And it's designed weirdly because you need to bring the head looking forward first in order for him to look up in a decent range like this, because you can't do this while he's looking at the sides and he can look down that far. And moving on to the arms, even though they are asymmetrical, it can go 360, it can go up that far. You can move this piece, which is pretty convenient. He does have a honorary double elbow, and that's more for a transformation, but since it's strategically placed here, we're going to take advantage of it, so we're gonna count that as a joint. His wrist can move to a certain degree, but I can't say the same for the other one. That's because of the design being asymmetrical. And weirdly enough, no swivels on the arms whatsoever, but he does have it at the waist, as you can see right there. Now, Megatron can kick up a lot and move his feet back a lot as well, because again, he is a very streamlined figure. He can do the splits incredibly. He has a lower thigh swivel or upper knee swivel, and one of the weird things here with Megatron is that he has this locking mechanism which serves no purpose in both the robot mode and the vehicle mode, so it ends up hindering the range of the knees. So some other toy reviewers recommend you just snip this in order to free up the legs, but I'm going to show you an alternative. which is what I like to do is allow me to focus my camera, is untab these parts just a little bit, and then you can move the feet here. If you can see it, again, I'm adjusting my camera, sorry about that. And there, it's weird. I can't really say that this is a very clean way of doing so. I think the best option is just to snip it, but it's kind of weird why they chose to leave it like that. You should have removed it during the designing process. But moving on to the feet, it can go down that far, but the toe, that's more for the transformation, and it does have a slight pivot, and that goes the same for the other side. So yeah, that's about it for the articulation of Megatron. So for scale, Megatron stands about a little above 6 inches, which is the average size for modern Voyager class figures. But if we set him to the side here, allow me to get War for Cybertron Voyager class Optimus Prime. And no contest, obviously Optimus is a lot bulkier, but I do think they are the same size. And here we have Deluxe class War for Cybertron Bumblebee, and yeah, this is how he scales with the other War for Cybertron figures. I do admit that there are areas where they're a little off, but overall, pretty good scale. Now let's move on to his transformation. And here we have Megatron in his Cybertronian alt mode, hailing from a streamlined figure into a chunk of a tank. Though I have to point out that the silver was kept from robot mode. Oops, little tabbing got undone there. It's weird that the silver is hidden in the robot mode while the alt mode benefits from it. I was hoping that both modes actually benefit from the silver paint, but again, here we are. And looking at the bottom, there are no threads or wheels for this figure to roll on, and it's just like the game. He's a hover tank, in short. He just hovers in the direction that he needs to go. so we can't really do a roll test. But you can store his mace right there, but it does look kind of weird, so we're not gonna do that. And in terms of size, he is 3 inches high from the ground, and including the turret, he is 7.5 inches long, and that's including the spikes on his knees. And he is about 3.5 inches wide. And here is Megatron again with War for Cybertron, Optimus Prime, and Bumblebee. So this is how they scale in alt mode. And once more, Optimus is a lot bigger than Megatron. And here we have the back profile of these 3 figures. And yeah, they're about the same width. So to summarize my thoughts on this figure, visually both robot mode and alt mode are very accurate to the game. Though I wish that we got more paint with this figure, especially with the dark energon coursing throughout his body. Taking into consideration that yes, this is a mass-produced mainline figure, so as usual, Hasbro had to cut back somewhere. And another thing is the fusion cannon feels lackluster, especially if you see the fusion cannon that's included with the older version of War for Cybertron Megatron. I don't understand why they decided to go with the lesser version of that fusion cannon. And finally, the major drawback with this figure is the unknown extra plastic at the back of the legs, which serves no purpose in either alt mode except to hinder the legs. I don't know why that's there. Again, I think it was a designing error and they just forgot to take it out, which is a shame. So to say that this is a upgrade from the previous one, I can't really say for certain, because there are areas where this one is lacking, while there are other areas that it does make up for. But if you're like me who missed out on the initial release of the older one, this is a good opportunity for you to get a War for Cybertron Megatron. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't see a future where they're going to re-release this figure unless they're going to retool it for Fall of Cybertron Megatron, and same goes with Optimus. And not gonna lie, I am willing to overlook and forgive its shortcomings even with a fusion cannon. But I can't get by the fact that they overlooked the hindrance on his legs. But make no mistake, I am neither encouraging nor discouraging you to get this figure. I'm just providing you with input in order for you to decide whether or not to pick him up. But if you are a Megatron fan, then it is a no-brainer. So that's about it. Till next time, see ya.